Hi, this is Chris Su from Sample Library Review, and today we'll be checking out the Front Row Violins from Kirk Hunter Studios. This product features a playable solo violin along with easy scalability to go from solo through to any section size of violinist you choose, and this ranges from single soloist to 16 players. Each section size has been meticulously recorded separately, so you get a real and unique ensemble for every size. This product downloads as 2 GB, and 4 GB are required for installation. It's a sample set from a solo violin up to 16 violins recorded together. Articulations include arco, tremolo, half-step and whole-step trills, spiccato, pizzicato, harmonics, and arco slur. It's a multi-sampled instrument that has an intuitive playing style. The engine actually follows your playing to determine the vibrato and dynamics, and the vibrato can actually be user-controlled via key switch. Front Row Violins requires contact 5.7.1 full or higher, and it normally sells for $299.99. Alright, so let's have a look into the actual instruments themselves. So you can see here on the left that we have first violins and second violins. And the first violins come with, the violins one by itself and a warm version, which we'll look into a little bit. And then the second violins has one patch right there. So by default, violins one loads its solo violin, but you also have the option to go down here and choose as many players as you'd like. Okay, and this is going to be a first look, so basically, I don't really have any experience with this library. We're just going to play through and see how it sounds out of the box and play around with it a little bit. Now, I was just experimenting with aftertouch there, and this library actually does not have an aftertouch feature where, there's a release or a tail if you press harder on the key to have that aftertouch. Let's go through some of these vibrato styles here and see what they sound like. So one really cool feature about this library is that its divisi function works automatically. So essentially, if you choose a number of players, let's say 8 players or 6 players, like I have here, if you play a 3-note triad, the divisi engine will basically separate 2 violins for each note that you're playing. So if I'm playing an A minor triad, then basically each note is being played by 2 violinists because there's a total of 6 players being activated right now. So it's a very smart engine, and it does it automatically, so you don't have to worry about, doing it yourself. Let's see what 16 player sounds like. So as I ride the mod wheel, which I'm doing right now, you can see the vibrato is being tweaked. Right now it's a little glitchy, but if I play a note, You hear the difference there. You can activate vibrato using the mod wheel there. So that's what it's set to by default. What's really cool is as I'm playing this instrument, I wasn't riding the mod wheel at all. I was letting the engine basically determine the vibrato and the dynamics of the notes just by my own performance. So that's, it's a pretty interesting feature that it does it all by itself. It makes sense that the lighter I play, the less the vibrato is and the less the dynamics as well. So a very intuitive script. And the legato, actually, I think it's a scripted legato, but it works really well in this context, and it sounds quite good. So here you have a bunch of presets that you can activate. And let's say we have a chamber section with a lush vibrato, see what that sounds like. So automatically this preset sets up the 8 violins for you. It chooses lush vibrato, chooses the bowing style, which you can activate here, smooth, détaché, all that, and then your articulation. So again, we have this DVC function activated. If I turn the legato on, little tricky making sure that both notes go down together to get that DVC function to activate. Sometimes if you don't play them exactly in time, the notes will, it'll kind of go between one and then go directly to the other one. So just make sure if you want to activate that by playing a chord, just make sure you press them down at the same time. So there it wasn't quite in time. There we go. Great. Okay, so now we can take a look at the solo vibrato live. And this function is really, really interesting because it allows me to control the vibrato by myself. And so I need to have the solo violin selected for this. So that's what I've done. I've gone to solo violin. And now I'm going to repeatedly press this key switch right here, C#3. And you can see here, it's going to activate it's a custom vibrato, depending on how hard and how quickly I press it. So I'm going to play a note and let's try this out. So you can see there I can control both the speed of the vibrato by pressing slower or faster, but I can also, the harder I press, the more intense the vibrato will be. So let me try this with a different note. It could get some practice getting used to, but it's worth the effort there. It also comes with a reverb. So let's take away the solo vibrato. Now, if you go here to the bottom right, you can click this button here and it'll turn everything you play into a staccato. So if I turn this up to the top, it's going to let me make the staccato even longer. All the way down, it's going to be super short. There we go. We can turn that off. Now, if you go into the settings page, it basically shows you all the different articulations that are mapped here. And you can see here, this arco slur we actually haven't tried yet. So by default, we have this bowed legato activated, but if you press this arco slur, then it's a slurred fingered kind of legato. So let's see what that sounds like. So really nice and smooth. Now I'm going to go back and forth between regular legato, or the bowed legato, and the fingered. So that function can work really, really well. Great. Okay, so let's have a look now into the, oh, by the way, let me mention here, you can basically activate and tweak the volume of each player. Because this library comes with 16 players, here you can say, okay, I don't want violin 1 to have any volume, so I'm going to turn him down, you know. Same with violin 2 and so on. So you have your own choice of what you want to do there. For some reason, it's acting up a little bit, but yeah. Anyway, I think I made, let's see. So yeah, you can turn a bunch of these down. Right, so basically as I play through it, you can hear it getting louder and softer based on how I tweak this, this bar here. And then you can pan the players as well. So you have your ADSR things here, your room size you can tweak. If you want to sound like a bigger space, you can do that. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's move on to the warm violins 1. So this is what this sounds like. So yeah, I find that the legato function works quite well, and it sounds very seamless. Let's choose one more section here. This one comes with the VC, legato, and it's all the sections, or all the players performing together. It will take some practice getting used to the DVC function and making sure all the notes activate together. So a good thing to do is record in your parts first, and then you can tweak each of the MIDI notes to line up with each other to make sure they activate together. And then finally, we have the violins 2. And so this one has a slightly warmer tone to me in general. And just by listening to the demos, I think it has a bit of a warmer sound. So if I go to the violins 2 here, this is the patch I've pulled in, and by default, it loads in the 16 violins. So you note here that you actually don't have a solo player or a solo function. So this is what this sounds like. What I think is really cool about the touch marcato is that basically it brings it down to the velocity-based mapping. So the harder you play, you'll get a kind of an accented marcato. If you play lightly, it's more smooth. And you'll also note here that it doesn't have the solo vibrato live thing because there's no solo player in this patch. And so you have, again, these presets here to tweak if you'd like to. And the settings page looks identical. It has all these different playing features and your attack styles as well, which we just covered. Comes with these different articulations, which I should actually go into a little bit. So those are accessed by these key switches down here in the bottom. So let me go through those. So you have arco, tremolo, half trill, whole, step trill, spiccato, pizzicato, harmonics, and so ponticello. And then we have the arco slur, which we played around with. So That almost sounds like woodwinds. That has a very Baroque sound to my ears. It feels like it's very gritty and very woody in a way, and that's great for that more intense style of playing. The overall sound of this product, I feel, is very, it has a warm sound to it, but it's also very detailed. And so you can use this as your first chair, as a first chair function if you'd like to, in front of the whole orchestra. You can have this as a soloist, as we already experienced from the solo violin patch here. But you just have to make sure that you go between the arco and the arco slur articulations to make sure that there's a natural, that you can differentiate between the different types of legato, right? You have the bowed legato, but you also have the finger legato, which is more of a smooth transition. And then these basic bread and butter articulations are provided for you as well. So in general, it's a very good starting library, I think, for your soloist needs, but as well, if you want to enlarge it to more players, you can absolutely do that, and it'll sound great in a mix. So you can dial up the reverb a little bit to take out some detail. You can do some post EQ to take out that high end if you want to. So you have a lot of options you can do to kind of tweak this. So I hope you enjoy it, and thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for checking out this video, this first look for the Front Row Violins by Kirk Hunter. We'd love to know what you think. If you have any thoughts about it, if you do own it, let us know how you get along with it and what your first impressions are, and how it feels under your fingers. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll always appreciate your support, and be sure to visit samplelibraryreview.com for news, reviews, and our weekly deal compressor.